Well, folks, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm so excited. This is episode 585, and we are welcoming back Wrecking Crew member Kevin Mathers. You might know him as at KevMath on his favorite social media platform. We're going to be talking to him in just a minute about all that's new and exciting about the World Series of Poker this summer. But first, I should tell you, in case you don't already know, this is the Chats edition of the Rec Poker Podcast, and I've got the best freaking job in the world hanging out here on YouTube every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, talking with my friends about this great game we love called poker. Come join us for free every Monday night, 7:30 on YouTube, and win a prize just for showing up. Plus, you get to ask questions of some of the great minds in poker, like our very own Kevin Mathers. Now, we're going to talk to Kevin in just a moment, but first I have to thank our sponsors. This show is brought to you by the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. They are the official sponsors of the Rec Poker Podcast. And especially because most of what we do here is free, we're a largely volunteer-based organization. We really depend on the support of our sponsors and our premium members who pitch in their $15 a month to join our premium program and help us keep the lights on here at Rec Poker. I had a great surprise in my inbox this week when I saw that our newest premium member is none other than Dr. Patricia Cardner. So Dr. Cardner, big name in the poker world, has decided to support what we're doing here at Rec Poker and signed up for our premium membership. So just like all our new premium members, I sent Dr. Cardner off a little email outlining some of the great things that we do here at Rec Poker and an invitation to meet with me in a one-on-one Zoom so we can kind of chat, get to know each other a little better, and like all our premium members, sort of see how Rec Poker can help them out the most. So I think Dr. Cardner could probably help us out more than we can help her out, but it's delightful to have her support here as our newest premium member. Another way to support what we're doing here on the Wrecking Crew is if you go to rec.poker/support, you can find all sorts of ways to help out with the show, subscribing to this, downloading that, buying us a cup of coffee, some of it without even spending a dime. We'd appreciate that. And since we've got Kevin Mathers here on the show, I should point out that if you go to rec.poker/staking, you can find some great ways to support Wrecking Crew members by buying a piece of their action, investing in their tournament or cash game programs or packages. And I've got a WSOP 2024 staking package out there. I know a couple of the other Wrecking Crew members are putting some packages together. So come join the fun over at rec.poker. Join for free. Most of what we do here is free, and there's a lot of fun ways to get involved. Now, you get used to hearing my voice on Mondays because they let me host the show, but I am just one small cog in the Rec Poker machine. It takes a whole gang, a group, a crew to make the magic happen over here. We call this group of wizards the Wrecking Crew. And if you want to find out more about me and the rest of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew, but you can also just listen up because you're going to meet a few of them right here tonight on the show, starting with none other than our producing co-host, Chris Jones.
I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the PokerStars home game. And I help run our monthly strategy segment called The Deep Dive.
And I'm John Somsky, also known as Poker Geek MN Everywhere, and I host our home games.
And I'm Keith Brandt. That's Monkey System, just about everywhere. And I host the Monkeys Off Table Tools segment every month. Unfortunately, I'll have to cancel this month because I'll be crushing a tournament, but in Cleveland. But next month, I'll be there.
I'm Kim Kilroy. I am PetVet33 on most of the social platforms. I'm Fergie56 in the home game. And I have a hand history review every month on the second Wednesday. But this month, just like Keith, I will be away. I'll be at the WSOP circuit event in Calgary.
Nice. Good luck to you too.
And I'm Rob Washam. You can find me as Rabman50 just about everywhere. And on the first and third Wednesdays of every month, you can join me and a bunch of the premium members as we discuss the latest poker books. And I just want to welcome John Somsky into the lavish studios here at Rec Poker. He's been doing everything from home, but I see that he's finally come into the big studio and has joined the rest of us. Good to have you here, John.
Thank you. I figured out that if I used the right cologne and deodorant, they would let me in. So It's good to be here.
Well, you're really bringing our production value to a whole new level here, John. Thank you so much for all that you do here at Rec Poker. And if you're having a fun time listening along, I encourage you to come check out the YouTube conversations that we have. It's a lot more fun to join the chat.
And just for those listening on audio only, my background in the YouTube portion is now the official Rec Poker background, as opposed to just blurred background. So
it's like we're a highly polished, well-oiled machine firing on all cylinders, just nailing the audio cues, high production values. We're gonna have to start calling this the Pro.Poker podcast pretty soon if we keep ascending like this. All right, that's enough of that tomfoolery. Kevin Mathers, you are so generous with your time. We were able to kind of break the WSOP schedule in real time with you earlier this year. Now we've all had time to read the poker.org article by me about how to plan for the WSOP better. We've circled our dates. We're getting ready to get down there. You must be getting pretty excited. When do you go down to WSOP?
So I fly to Vegas the Friday before the WSOP starts. So I believe that's the 20. Let's see, the 25th, I believe it is 24th, 25th. It's one of those days. But I'll be in Vegas from that day until the end of the World Series of Poker. So I'll be there about 8 weeks, which is always, it'll be my 8th year on my doing my job as the person who does most of the tweets and the @WCP account. And it's definitely a job I like doing during the summer. And a lot of people like me, like my job during the WSOP.
Yeah, well, you do a freaking phenomenal job, and regular listeners to the show will know we've spoken to you before about sort of how you created that role for yourself and how you kind of demonstrated this value in the poker world. And that was the path to your success and the creation of this role for you there. 8 years in, has the shine fallen off in it all? Are you already kind of envisioning what it's like 7.5 weeks in? Where you're almost at the end of it? Like what's your emotional roller coaster like between now and 11 weeks from now?
Well, I will say, there's definitely, I would say in more recent years, I definitely feel like I hit a wall.
Yeah.
And that's usually like around just before the main event. It's sort of like the way it's usually gone is, it's all the build up to getting to Vegas. You get to Vegas, you're all excited, it's it's obviously the biggest poker festival in the world. And, you have a very, at least a lot of people feel I have a very important role during the WSOP. And then the big weekend events, sometimes they'll get a bit, it'll get a bit draining because, there's lines everywhere and people are upset and, they sort of take it out on the @WSOP account, which means it's like me, but
right.
It's not my first rodeo. So, I sort of know I know it's coming. I just try to do the best I can, keep a level head, don't act like an idiot. And when the main event rolls around, that's sort of like when I get the second win, and it's sort of like, it gets all excited again. And, it's always nice to meet people that follow me on Twitter or that know of me, and, just seeing that, meeting each other in person. That's always definitely one of the highlights of me being in Vegas each summer.
Yeah, definitely. I know how much you enjoy that. And I'll just remind our YouTube audience, if you've got any questions for Kevin, feel free to enter them into the YouTube chat here. One of the perks of coming up and watching the show live. We'll also be giving away a prize at the end of the show to help support our fight against food insecurity. So if folks want to stick around to the end of the show, all they have to do is type the words food bank into the YouTube chat and they'll be entered into a raffle later in the show. And if you are in the YouTube chat, we are finally, we've hit the big time, gang. We are able to accept donations through super chats. So if you're the kind of fancy, shiny person out there that can give a YouTube super chat, please do. And we will share a portion of all those donations with a local food bank. So I'd encourage everyone to get more involved in our YouTube channel. Please do subscribe, make those super chats, and also just support a local food bank in your own way. It's a great way to make the world a better place. So, Kevin, what's Now, I know there's some restrictions on what you can get up to down when you're down there. You typically get to play like one tournament per summer. Do I have that about right?
I mean, well, it's basically I don't really think there's a limit, but I sort of like limit myself to one bracelet event.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could probably play the employee casino employees event and then another event. But I mean, I could probably play maybe two or three. But I usually the event I've played the past couple of years is it's the $1,500 Super Turbo Bounty because it's a 1 day tournament. And it's also, if you can knock out someone, you get $500. So it's sort of like and that's how I got my first ever WSP cash. So at WSP.com/players, I do have a profile, of course,
Nice.
along with my profile on the Henema, which has several more caches that people can look at.
There you go. Nice. And I've found in the past that you're a very profitable investment. Speaking of staking partners, if memory serves, I did pretty well with you in one of those Super Turbo Bounty knockouts a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think that was the first one. Yeah, that was that would have been 2022 if I recall correctly. And I also do play a lot. I do try to play at least two or three of the daily deep stacks, which are definitely a very popular non-brace event at the that takes place at the Horseshoe.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about that. So if a lot of our listeners are recreational players, maybe they've been down to Vegas before, maybe they've even been down to the series before. But I think people get this kind of myopic view that there's just these bracelet events, but that couldn't be further from the truth. There's like throw a rock in the air and you can hit a different tournament every day in Las Vegas during the series. Talk a little bit about sort of what else is happening on the grounds there, and what else people might look for in the city at the time.
Yeah, there's going to be several major tournament series going on around Las Vegas. You can start with the Venetian. They're going to actually start just before the WSP starts. They always have their Deep Stack Championship Series, which is they have like about 80 events, a lot of 1 day events. And the great thing about the summer poker tournament scene in Vegas is there's buy-ins pretty much at every level.
Mm-hmm.
You can I think definitely a popular destination, which is off the strip, is the Orleans, and the Orleans Summer Poker Open. They have a lot of events that are basically most of them are under $400 and below. A lot of 1 day tournaments, and they also are probably the best place for outside of WSP for mixed game events. You can play your Omaha 8s, you can play your No Limit Deuce to 7s, your Dealer's Choice, Stud, Horse. Of course there's we have the Venetian, we have the Aria, we have MGM Grand, which is going to have the Moneymaker Poker Tour as part of their
Cool.
Grand Summer Series. That's going to be very popular. Aria, like I said, there's going to be people who like to play the high rollers. I mean, that may not necessarily be in the listening audience, but there are several 10K and up of 1 day events that people can play at the Aria and the Poker Go Studios. I mean, there's a couple places where you can find out. Oh, the Win. I shouldn't forget the Win. The Win is definitely making its way as like the number 2 poker stop.
Mm-hmm.
For players I think there's definitely players that prefer playing at the Win over the WSP, but it is to each their own. And it's the great thing is there's such a variety out there. And my real job, my actual job at the hennemob.com, we've had a website going the past couple of years. It's called summerinvegas.com, and that should be launching in the next few days. That'll have all the tournaments that are going on in Vegas during the summer. So you can say, I know a lot of people like to use the Kenny Heller WSP spreadsheet, and if you follow at Spacey FCB, that's SPACEY FCB, it should be in this pinned comment, and there's a URL to what he has. But we've got our website too. I got to plug that, because I mean my boss Eric is nice enough to let me. I basically just play hooky, I guess, for the summer and WSP gig. So I'm always happy to oblige. I try to do some actual work with the Hennemob during the summer, because it is, especially with so many tournaments going on, there's a lot of results that need to be added, and there's a lot of people that have that issues come up. Especially because someone puts the name in wrong, or
Sure.
hey, where's this result? But that's so the team is very is working hard year round, especially during the summer. So I'm always grateful for them. The past couple of years since I worked for Mob, that I do get to get this side job.
Yeah, well, it seems like they really have your back there. And I know you've been there for several years now, and you wouldn't stick around if they weren't taking care of you. So kudos and nice work, and Mob, keeping quality people like Kevin around and keeping them happy. I will put a link. I'll put a link in the show notes to summerinvegas.com and to Kenny's Facebook or Twitter profile. Hopefully, people can find those spreadsheets, because it is really, if you don't know what I'm talking about, folks, I cannot overestimate or what's the word I'm looking for? Save me, people. Emphasize enough. Thank you, John. You were muted. How many tournaments there are? Such a huge variety of buy-ins, different levels of prestige, different tournament venues, and the good players, they can't be at all these places at once. So you can do some real savvy value hunting by playing some of these other tournaments out there. But let's talk about the WSOP. That's what we're here for. It's kind of the crown jewel, I think, for a lot of people in the annual poker schedule. What are some, let's try and head some beginner problems off at the pass a bit here, Kevin. And of course, if you're in the YouTube chat and you've got questions for Kevin, type them in. We'll make sure to ask them. What are some common mistakes that beginners make? What are some of the tweets that you get like 40 times in the first 2 weeks every year from people that don't understand something they should have done differently about getting ready for the WSOP this year?
Okay, well, the first thing that players should get, if they don't already, they need to get one of these a Caesar's Rewards card.
Yes.
Yes, that's that because you're gonna need your Caesar's Rewards card. You're gonna need unexpired ID, which is also key. Because there's definitely instances where I've seen people come up, they don't realize that their ID expired during the summer, and they try to register and they're screwed. Sometimes people have various, there's ways around that. Maybe get like a temporary ID, But again, when you're in Nevada, you're usually coming from out of state, so it's gonna, of course, having the money to actually pay for the tournaments themselves. That's either by cash, casino chips, Paris or Horseshoe casino chips, debit cards are that's definitely a popular method that people have used sort of the past few years. Cashier's check, which is a little more obscure, but people like don't worry, you want to walk around with cash.
Sure.
They can do a cashier's check. They can wire money, and there's a new method that's going to be in place this year for people who want to wire money to the WSOP that I will go over. And sometimes some of the things that, if you're using a debit credit card, there's going to be fees attached. And the best place to go is if you go to WSOP.com/registration. It'll detail all the methods that you can use and the fees that are involved. Usually it's about 3% of the buy-in. For players outside the US, it's usually 3.5%, 3.5% of the buy-in plus $3 per transaction. So it's obviously make sure that you are not going over your credit limit. And another question that some people have, it is treated like a regular purchase. It's not a cash advance. So I know there's definitely players out there that like to use that have they have like frequent frequent flyer points or things of that nature. Mm-hmm. They can that's an easy way for them to rack up those, and they can use it for trips and or other methods. And there's those people out there that are very responsible with their credit cards that pay them right away.
Yeah,
there's a few out there for sure.
There's got to be, right? So people can use credit cards and debit cards, but there's going to be a small fee associated with that. People can carry cash, but there's always some risk involved in carrying large amounts of cash. I mean, one thing I like to do, if you're going to be down there for a couple of weeks, or you're playing in several tournaments and you don't know if you're going to register for all of them all at once, get a safety security box, a safety deposit box at the cage. It's not that expensive. I think I paid like $30 or something for the summer. And you can not only can you keep all your cash in there, but the line for the safety deposit boxes is really short. And the line for registration is really long. But if you are at your safety deposit box, you can also register in tournaments from that line. So not only do you get a chance to keep all your valuables in a safe place, not carry them around, but you also get to skip the registration line. So that's a fantastic tip there.
Yeah, I think I'm assuming it's probably a little more expensive than what you're describing, but I did ask about that, and the fees are the same as last year. I think it's like from 200. It depends on the size of the box. Most people don't need an incredibly large box, but but yeah, you're right. It's definitely a safe deposit box is definitely an option that's available. And I should also note that you are able to register online for events and using your debit, credit card, or if you're in the US, you can use your online banking. And of course, there are fees with that as well. But some people, and there's there's one new thing this year. Now, people in the past have used what's called a WSOP tournament account, where they deposit a sum of money. It's now you have to deposit at least $2,500 with the initial deposit, and you can when you deposit a certain amount of money, and then you can go online through the BravoPokerLive.com system. Again WSOP.com/red. It'll walk you through all the details of setting up the account and how to register for events. And there is a $3 fee per tournament that you register for. So it is. So let's say you're going to spend $5,000 in tournaments. It may be a good idea to deposit $5,050. Just so, because again, it's one of those things where if you're playing a $1,500 event and you have $1,497, you're going to have to come with that $3. You're not going to just let that slide.
Good question. Good point. And sorry, you just cut out for a second there. Again, let's just give the URL again. It's WSOP/register.com/registration. Registration. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, check that out, folks, and go. You'll find a lot of good information there. We've got a question from Keith. Can we send our money in by ACH transaction already? Keith, what is an ACH transaction? Jump in. You're muted at the moment, but
a direct bank transaction. We were able to do it last year, and I bought a couple of my tickets from home before I even went out to Vegas. Are we able to do that already?
Yes, registration opened over the weekend. Now, it is important to note that this year, for people who want to use a wire transfer or an ACH, Bravo has created a company called Payfinity. And I'll spell that out. That's PAYFINITI.com. It is owned by Bravo, and it's basically there's a new account called a Bravo TBIC, and I think the intent is that with Bravo TBIC, you could enter events at other locations out besides the WSOP. So if other card rooms decide to join Bravo TBIC, you can have money in your account that you register for events with the WSOP, and say you cash, money goes back into that Bravo TBIC. You could then use that somewhere else to buy into events. And it is, it's important, if you visit payfinity.com, and it is important to note that there are fees attached. So if you're going to be sending a wire transfer, it's going to be a flat $25. And I know in the past, and of course, any fees that your bank is personally going to charge for a wire transfer. For ACH, it's 2.5% of the buy-in. Sorry, I shouldn't say buy-in. Whatever you wish to deposit. Now, last year, when you register for events using ACH, there were fees on top of that. I believe it was 2.75% plus $3. It's actually a little bit lower for this year. It's 2.5%. But I know when people were finding out about ACH, they were like up in arms. It was like this brand new thing that no one's ever done ACH before. So, but people can wire money, and that's probably, especially if it would be probably better to do wires when it's $25 flat. But like I said, plus any fees that your bank charges. And there is also the option in many countries where there's also crypto. which is definitely something a lot of people have been looking to do. And an important thing to note that there is a 3% fee of whatever, let's say you deposit $10,000 in crypto, however that is. There's various methods, various cryptocurrencies you can use. And they do charge a 3% fee of that, but it's basically relatively instant. And then you could put money into the account, and if you cash, you can get that money, put that money back into your Payfinity account without any charges.
Keith, you have a follow up there?
No, he answered all my questions. Thank you.
No problem.
So yeah, so part of the issue, I guess, Kevin, as you're explaining, is that people want to have their money in an account so that they can register into multiple tournaments from that account, and then also, if you win money, have that money sort of credited into that account. And then you can do all your actual moving the money around back at home or remotely, or by, online or something like that. And it sounds like a lot of this is through the Bravo app.
Right.
Yeah, but that's different from the WSOP tournament account, I think.
Well, yeah. So the WSOP tournament. So it may get a little confusing because the Bravo TBIC is new this year. If you have if you had a WSOP tournament account in the past, you could of course still use that. But one of the drawbacks may be you have to you deposit at the cage. Registration is open at the Paris main cage right now until the WSOP starts, which will be on, of course, that's 3 weeks from tomorrow, the 28th. But if you can withdraw, you can deposit and withdraw funds from the WSOP main cage or Paris cage after the series is over. With Bravo TBIC, you can deposit your money, and then you could, if you cash, that money will go back into your account, and you could hold it there. And like I said, it is relatively new, so I heard any card rooms that have joined with Bravo TBIC, but I assume that's going to be something that's going to be coming up in the near future. So you can sort of have more freedom to move that money around. Say, let's just say if the win adds TBIC, then you could put 10,000 in, maybe spend 5,000 in WSP, then you could buy into $5,000 worth of events at the win, or any other card room that accepts TBIC.
Okay, so I understand that's more versatile. I can see the how. Okay, Kim Kilroy, what's on your mind?
On my mind, as a Canadian, we can't travel with more than 10,000 across the border. So a few years ago, when I won a satellite here for the main event, and I was traveling to Vegas, I wired the money, which was very easy, to the cage, which was then at the Rio. And I wired the 10,000 plus 4,000 or 5,000 that I had wanted to use to play other events. When I got to the Rio, I had to take the entire amount out at once. So now that there's a TBIC account, you can take all the money out, you can put it in your TBIC account, and you never have to worry about traveling around with all of the money. So for Canadians anyway, that are taking a large amount down, the cheapest way that I think is to wire the money from your bank. I have a US account, a US dollar account, so I could just wire in US dollars to the cage at the WSOP. And then from there, I think you can transfer it into your TBIC account, which I think is a good way to go. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your question. You always ask the hard questions, Kim, and I certainly appreciate that. And yes, you're definitely right. The TBIC, because it's basically it's going to stay in that account. It's not like you're going to have to take out $15,000 and then you're stuck, having your hotel safe or somewhere else. It'll be, you can use Bravo TBIC, and again, you go to bravopokerlive.com, select events that you want to play, and then the Bravo TBIC option will be there for you to draw from the account.
Does that make sense? Anybody have any follow-ups on that?
Yeah, no, mine was more of a point for Canadians or other people traveling with large amounts of money that it can be easy to transfer, and easier than back in the day before there was a TBIC account.
Yes.
Like at the time I had to take all of the money out at once, even though I was only playing a 1K event, I had to take 14,000 out. Like they wouldn't let me just take 1,000. So now I think it's available, but you can just put it right into your TBIC account. And it's super easy to register on that. It's only $3 and just so easy.
Yeah. And there's no, I mean, I should also note that if you register online for tournaments, there is a verification process that everyone will have to do. Even if you've used the same credit card for the past few years, every year they need to see you, in person with your ID, the debit card that you wish to use, and then so you get verified, and then any future you'll get your first C assignment, and then in the future, as long as you keep using that same credit card, you go online, and then you register for whatever tournament, and then you go to one of the fast track kiosks, which I'm sure Kim and others are familiar with those devices. You swipe your Caesars Rewards card, select the event that you've registered for, print out your tournament receipts. And I should note, because this is something that definitely happens every year, I'm going to assume it's the same this year. You get 3 copies. There's 1 copy for yourself, there's 1 copy for the dealer, and then there's the tournament receipt. The dealer copy is usually coming out last, and a lot of people will forget the dealer copy, and then when they go to the table and they don't have a dealer copy, all heck breaks loose. So, and then I'll definitely see times where people have had their dealer copy. It's on top of, someone put the dealer copy on top of the kiosk, and then we have to try to find that person, sort of get that so they can start playing.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens. Keith, what's on your mind?
Yeah, is there anything we need to be aware of when we go to transfer our money back out of the TBIC account into our bank?
No, it should be a relatively, there's no fees for like taking putting money back into your account. The only fee is basically when you're funding the account itself. And then you can move that, back into your bank account without a problem.
So like, even if I win $1 million, I can wire that back to my bank and there's no problem?
I would hope not.
Yeah.
And $1 million is, $1 million is a little, could be an issue, but I think, there should be ways legitimately. So
yeah,
that'd be kind of a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I like your optimism, Keith. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
He's gonna pull the mystery. He's gonna pull the $1 million mystery.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
Oh, nothing would make me happier. That's awesome. Okay, well, boy, I love where this conversation's going. What are some other things that people are gonna say, oh, I wish I'd known, I wish I'd thought of that before I got down to Las Vegas?
Okay, well, one important thing to know is that registration is open. In the past, it's been open 24/7. Now, there is a slight change in the schedule this year, in that the registration will be available from 6:30 a.m. until 5 a.m. Well, I should say registration will open at 9 a.m. on May 28th. That's the first day of the WSOP. And then it will remain open until 5 a.m. on the 29th. And then it reopens at 6:30 a.m. And then it'll be 6:30 a.m. to 5 a.m. each day. So a lot of people think, a lot of people can be a little foolish in thinking, they've played their local tournaments and, they show up just before the start time and they're going to get, they get their seat right away. It's not like a huge tournament. But especially weekend events, you do that, you're probably going to be joining a few hundred people online. So it's, but so you can register at any time. You can register any event at any time. You could register for event 99 on the 28th if you wish. Now, some people may not want to have their money out of circulation for that long, but it is an option available to players. And it's, especially a lot of people want to avoid lines as much as possible. They'll do it in the after midnight hours.
Yeah, it's a great tip, because the registration lines are very long and during the busy times of day. But as Kevin says, outside of from 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m., you can get in line for a much shorter line and register for all the kind of stuff that you're going to play. What happens when you register, Kevin? So let's say I register in advance for a tournament, but then I sleep in that morning and I don't actually get to my table in time to start. Are my chips going to be out in play getting blinded out, or are they going to be in the dealer's well waiting for me when I get there?
Okay, so that's definitely one of the more popular questions I get every summer. Last year it was basically if you registered before the start of the tournament, your chips were in play from the start.
Okay.
Even if you register online, even if you register before the tournament but didn't print out your ticket, the chips would still be in play because basically you're determined for the most part. There may be situations where there'll be a late registration table, but that's going to be mainly your big weekend events that possibility will happen. But there are more tables this year than last year, so we should see and also a new tournament area. That's the horseshoe. That's the Normandy room, which is technically part of Paris, but it's in the horseshoe. So over the past few months, basically Paris has added several hundred rooms by basically taking over the horseshoe rooms, some horseshoe hotel rooms, and there should be plenty of signs for the Normandy room will be where you'll see your satellites and your daily deep stacks for the most part. There may be some overflow for the bigger weekend events when they cancel the daily deep stacks and other events, but there should be there. It's basically if you've been to the horseshoe poker room, if you go past that, there's a little escalator, and you go up, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of signs because it's a new area for a lot of people. If you played the WSOP circuit this year, then you're familiar with the Normandy room and where it's located. But I'm sure there's going to be there will definitely be confusion. And another thing I've noticed that people will do is because registration the main place for registration is at Paris, but there are times when you can register at the horseshoe. But what happens is that sometimes people get registered at Paris, they don't look at their ticket, and they go into the tournament area at Paris looking for their table, and they don't see it because they didn't look at their ticket and it says horseshoe table, so such and such. And it is important to know that both all the rooms are color coded. So you can always look up above each table. You'll see black one, white one. However, you'll see all the signs will be very visible for those who pay attention and look up. So it is important to read what is on your ticket because there's definitely times when especially people stood in line at horseshoe when their seat was impaired.
Yeah.
And they should not have been blinded off because they registered after the term started. So, but it is very important to also read what's on your ticket. That will help eliminate any confusion that you may have.
Yeah, and there is some confusion for folks, especially if you're not used to it, because I mean, all the events are happening at the same place. Like the Paris and the Horseshoe are combined hotel sisters, but they do have separate playing areas, and they'll have different color table sections in different areas of the two hotel and convention centers. So yeah, just read your ticket, and there's lots of friendly people around there too to ask if you're having trouble or if you're unsure about anything.
Yeah, there'll definitely be enough people that can help you, that can point you in the right direction.
And so I don't know, I didn't follow this year though about your chips being in play. Is it the same as last year? If once you register, once the tournament starts, those chips are in play?
Yes, that should be the case. Now I know
Okay.
That's what I'm expecting this year as well. I know in previous years, especially for big weekend events, because some people, they register online and they have to do verification, and they're flying in that morning. So if there is a change in the policy for select events, then if you follow the @WSOP account, I will certainly let people know of any possible changes regarding chips in play.
Perfect. And yeah, Kevin's such a great resource. Make sure to tap him on the shoulder over on Twitter there for the 8 weeks that he's there for. That's part of his job. And then Kevin, so let's say I don't want to risk that. And so instead, I'm just going to show up at the tournament area the day of and register so that I don't have to worry about not getting there in time for it to start and already being registered. Let's say I late register. Let's say the tournament starts at noon and I register at 12:30. I get a little slip of paper. I go over to the tournament area And at that point, are my chips in play at that point, or am I going to be seated and then see my chips come into play as a late entrant?
Okay, so it will depend, because sometimes they basically quote sell out. I don't really sell, but there's basically you'll have something that says on your ticket, it may have like a number in the 900s, and then it will also say late. The ticket. People, that's another thing people do. They assume there's like a table 900 somewhere, and there's not. Is the important thing in the word is that you look for the, and you will see late. And of course, if you see people standing in line outside, not seated at a table, they're waiting to get their seat at the table. So, they stand in line late registration. They'll be given a seat assignment. They go to the table with their full chips. They'll get ready to go.
Right on. And Kevin, you were just lagging a little bit there, but I'm just going to rephrase for our audience. So basically, when you do register late, you'll get a tag, you'll get a slip that it has sort of like a made up table number on it. Really what matters is that you go to the late registration desk, and that's where you'll get your chips and be seated.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes, there'll be 2 tournaments going on at once that will have late registration. So it's important that they are color code, they will say white, they will and say late. And again, is key to me, because again, people will be in the wrong. It happens more than it should, because people.
Yes.
I mean, again, it's a lot of people aren't familiar. There's a lot, some places they do, other places outside of WSOP, they'll do alternate, and it's like they'll do alternates like 1 for 50 and get their seat. But with the WSOP, they've decided to do late registration, do a late registration table and do it that way. People have their issues with that, which I can certainly understand, but it's, WSOP sometimes is set in their ways about certain things, and they don't want to change.
Yeah, I get that. All right, well, Keith, and if I'll give one last chance to our YouTube chatters. If you've got any questions for Kevin, type them in. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap this up pretty soon. Keith, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Can you, when you late register, can you, or say you late register or you need to re-enter, can you do that on Bravo as well? And then go to a kiosk and get a slate? Okay.
Yep, you can register online as long as registration is open. I mean, sometimes Bravo Poker Live will be a little busy, but yes, you can definitely re-enter online for events. As long as you have enough. If you're using your debit credit card, of course, again, your personal limits apply. If you don't have enough money in the bank, they're not gonna process it. But yes, you go to register. You go online to register, and then you go to a kiosk, swipe your Caesars Rewards card, and it'll print out the free tickets that you'll get, and then you'll proceed to late registration, or maybe even to, if it's deep enough, before registration closes, you may have a select seat assignment.
Anything else?
I did have one more.
Yeah, please jump in.
Okay. Yeah, I got told by a WSOP employee, I think a couple of years ago, because I asked the question, if you are pre-registered for a tournament, but then you come into a day 2 on a previous one and you have a conflict and you can't go, the employee told me that they'll automatically refund your account. They'll, after the certain waiting period, they'll take your chips off the table and then they'll refund your account.
Yes, that is still the policy. If it's usually 2 hours, it's usually 2 levels or 2 hours after the tournament starts. If you've registered and you have not checked in at the table, they will remove your stack. They will remove your stack from play. I mean, it'll be in, the chips will be gone. I mean, well, I shouldn't say gone, but you will not be able to sit down after that 2-hour period ends. And then if you register for the tournament online, you will get refunded the tournament buy-in. Any fees associated with that will not be refunded. And if you have your DORS copy, you can go back to the WSOP cashier at the WSOP main cage in Paris, in the Champagne DORS copy with you, because you would need that to show to the dealer that you're willing to play. So if you have the DORS copy, you will get refunded, whatever your tournament buy-in was. Say if it was a 1,500, you'll get the 1,500 back. But if you went online, any fees, the $3 fee or the 3% fee using a credit or debit card, that will not be refunded back to you.
Thank you.
All right, good stuff. Well, Kevin, I think we are getting to the end of the interview question. Oh, wait, that means we get to use the soundboard. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, we're such dorks over here. I love that we have a soundboard. So we are going to play our favorite games with you now, Kevin, before we let you go. The first is Stake, Study, Stack, and I'll let Chris take it away.
All right, Kevin. So this is a game we call Stake, Study, Stack. I'm going to give you 3 names. You're going to pick one who you want to stake in a tournament, one who you want to study with, and one who you just want to really just take all of their chips. And since we're on the WSOP theme, I thought I would pick last year's top 3 finishers in the Player of the Year race. So your 3 names are Ian Matakis, Sean Deeb, and Chris Brewer.
This is gonna be a tough one. Okay, so I'm gonna say for stake, I'm gonna go with Sean D because he plays all the games very well. So I would definitely, if he was selling action and I could buy a piece, I would definitely stake. I would definitely stake Sean D. Study. I mean, I would say I'm gonna have to go with Chris Brewer. He is definitely one with the Sims, and he's definitely a very learned player. As the past year, he's definitely he was definitely more known for bubbling big tournaments than cashing or winning. But the last year and a half or so, he's definitely turned that around. And nothing against Minnesota legend that is Ian Matakis, the 2023 Player of the Year. Unfortunately for him, I'm going to have to stack him. Only because it's the only option available.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks for playing along with us. And now we're going to close the action with our speed round. So, Kevin, we're looking for short answers that come to you quickly and are true. Those are the only qualifications. And you can pass at any time if you don't feel like answering the question, or if I feel like it's taking too long for you to come up with one, we're going to hear the buzzer and then we'll just move on to the next question. Okay, how does that sound? You ready?
Sounds good. Let's go.
All right, we're going to start with an easy one. Kevin Mathers, what is your favorite poker hand?
My favorite poker hand. That's a good question. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to go 9-7 unsuited.
9-7 unsuited. All right.
I can't go the conventional aces of things. So let's go 9-7 off. I like to play unsuited jump.
It's got a lot going for it. Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
Ooh. Well, I'm gonna say it's 50-50. I mean, there's definitely skill involved, but there is a bit of a gamble as well as fun. It's sort of the better the player are, the more skillful it is. For me, it's probably more like 20 skill, 80 luck. But sometimes if I'm doing well, it sort of adjusts. But
it's true.
Up to a maximum of 50-50.
All right. What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I guess I think it's not paying attention at the table, and it's definitely something I'm very guilty of at times when I'm just like I'm off my own little zone, and it's like it acts on me. It's like, oh no, or if you're like now if you don't pay attention, that's I mean it's my personal pet peeve is not paying attention at the table, and I do it way more than I should.
All right. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Is Ace King a drawing hand?
In my hands, yes.
Is an open face sandwich a sandwich?
Yes. If it's on bread, I would consider it a sandwich.
Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Sort of depending on where you're going. But I'm going to say I prefer lazy over busy.
Is a royal flush a straight flush?
It's a royal straight flush, so yes.
How do you grapple with your own mortality?
That's a good question. I just realized at some point I will pass this mortal coil. I'm just hoping it's not soon. The longer it takes for me to pass on, the better it is.
That's a great answer. That's a fantastic answer.
Just hanging on for dear life.
I love it. All right. Who's one poker player that you respect? Present company accepted. No one in the room. Let's not get political here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat I heard one player that dropped.
One poker player that you respect?
getting the ground.
All right. Yellow light coming up, slow down or speed up?
Speed up.
Are you pro chop or no chop?
I am pro chop because I always feel it's in my best interest to chop. I mean, there's definitely times when I should have chopped and I didn't, and I lost a decent amount of money doing it. So I would be pro chop, unless I have like heaps and no one else has heaps, and then no chop. But most situations, chop.
Who is your poker nemesis?
Alan Kessler. Enough said.
So fast, no hesitation. I love it. That was it. All right. Well, that's the last question. The speed run. I have one more question for you, Kevin. And I may have asked you this before because you've been on the show a couple times, and I like to ask a lot of our guests. But you've led such a rich life. You've had all these fantastic experiences in the poker world and outside the poker world. But someone comes up and puts a loaded gun to your head and says, Kevin, you have to go back in your life and choose to do one thing differently. What's the one thing you would go back in your life and do differently?
Well, I think the one thing that comes to mind easily is I wish I got more involved publicly in poker, like outside of the house. Let's put it that way, because I am kind of a late starter in poker. 2010 was really when I was first actually seen by people. I wish I sort of did it like in the Moneymaker in the Moneymaker era, just a bit involved in that, with all that stuff that was going on. Let's say 2003. If I had if like Twitter was around in 2003 or something social media wise, and I got myself out in the public, then I would have done a lot more things in poker.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've done my share. I've done my share in the 14 years I've been in the public, but to be involved in that particular era, but that's something I definitely regret not doing.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and I'm always encouraged. And if your listeners at home, if you're a regular listener, I hope you pay attention, because a lot of these fantastic poker people that we have on the show, the one thing they do differently is they would just go after their dreams earlier in their lives, have the courage to go take that leap. And it's not too late for anyone listening right now. I don't know how young or old you are, how much of your life you think you have in front of you, but go after it. Go find that thing that you love and just start doing it. And if you're like Kevin, start developing a reputation for it, start demonstrating some value, show people that you're good at it. You might be doing it 8 years in a row, officially on paper down at the World Series of Poker, like our man Kevmat here. So dream the dream, folks. Give it a try. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the show. I see you got a total of 926 points in the points round there. That's very impressive, sir. Good answers, I think, got you that 920 something points that I totally didn't just make up. So folks, you can start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat now. We're going to let Kevin go in just a second. Before we do, I just want to remind people that the reason that we support food banks is because especially in days like this time in history, you'd be surprised how many people just need a little help putting food on the table for a loved one or a child, or even for themselves. It might be people in your neighborhood, it might be people in your community, it might be someone that you don't expect might need a lot of help. Maybe people are proud or putting on a brave face, but a lot of people need help right now. And whether you're voting left or right, or whatever your religion is, one thing we can all agree on is that it's a good deed to put food in the bellies of the hungry. So if you just take out your phone and Google food banks near me, you'll find some fantastic organizations that can benefit from a few bucks from your wallet, a few hours from your week, or a few non-perishable food items from your pantry. So I'd encourage people to do that. What we do here on the show is we just talk about the fight against food insecurity every week. We try and raise awareness for support for food banks. And we, when we do live events and that kind of thing, we try and work with local food banks to raise some money for them as well. So start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat right now, and we'll draw a winner just after the interview. Kevin, there's one more question here that I always wanted to hold off on. This is from JD Malay, my friend Joe, who's in the YouTube chat for this week's episode of the Chats podcast. It looks good on you there, Joe. Thanks for joining us last week. And he wants to know, is the Kev Math Report newsletter still active?
No, unfortunately, it was something I started in 2021. Basically, I wouldn't say I was between jobs. It was something I did, and it's something to do a weekly newsletter, and I did it for a while. And I did actually, I sort of stopped during the.
Uh-oh, I just lost Kevin there for a second. Is it just me? No. Well, we've exceeded the lag. This is we might have officially lost Kevin. I feel bad. Kevin,
Hear me.
oh, you're back now. Hold on.
Yes,
Wait,
I'm back.
there he is.
Oh, good. Okay.
So sorry. Tell us about the Substack or the newsletter, and then we'll let you go.
Okay, so quickly, I sort of started, someone encouraged me to just sort of do a weekly newsletter in 2021. I sort of started that summer and actually got like an amazing amount of subscribers. And what happened was the WSP happened, WSP was in the autumn that year because of the pandemic.
Yes.
And I tried to do the newsletter during the WSP and sort of stopped because I was just too busy with WSP stuff. And then right after the WSP ended, I think I've told this story before, but Eric at the Hen and Mob, I met him at the buffet at Bellagio, I believe it was. He offered me a job at the Hen and Mob. So and of course I accepted, and it's sort of like that was sort of like I never really did a final newsletter to say I was done, but that's sort of like that's when the Kev Math report died a very slow death. I don't know, maybe I may try to bring it back at some point, but I'm just so busy. Like, during the summer is not gonna be a good time. So, maybe in the fall I'll try to do something and keep people updated, at least try to do my best about what's going on in the world of poker in my own little way.
I love that idea. And is there any, obviously at KevMath on Twitter is the best way to reach out to you. Is there anything else that people can do to say thanks? If you want to find out more about Kevin, also go to rec.poker/KevMath and you can find his Wrecking Crew page and all the cool stuff that he's going on, that he has going on. But Kevin, what if folks want to say, hey, thanks for coming on the Rec Poker podcast and sharing your time with this fantastic group? What's the best way for them to do that?
Okay. Well, I should also add that during the summer, excuse me, I also run at KevMath Vegas, which is basically a dedicated Twitter feed. And all it does is it basically gives information on each day's, or this year I may sort of do like overnight what the following day's tournament action is going to be. The card rooms in Vegas. If you want to support me, I mean, again, it's obviously very optional. I do have Venmo, Cash App. I use KevMath for basically anything. Find me a coffee. Your a method, or you can personally hand me cash at the Horseshoe. Again, all voluntary, and it'll all go towards me enjoying the various slot machines at those two casinos.
Right on. And I officially endorse this message, folks. Kevin's one of the good guys in poker. So buy the guy a cup of coffee or a beer in person, or go check out his various links and see what you can do to help him out. You're one of my favorites, Kevin. I hope I get a chance to buy you a beer myself. I'll be down there June 22nd through July. I actually booked a one-way flight down this year for the first time. So I don't have a firm return.
Are you planning to play the main event again, or?
I don't know. I have to either satellite in, or that rec.poker/staking page is really going to have to take off. But those are the one of those two would be the only way I'll play the main. But they have a lot of other juicy tournaments going into that week as well. So I'm just kind of keeping my options open. We'll just
understood. But it will be nice to meet you and any other members of the Rec Poker family. I assume there's going to be a meetup during that time that you're in Vegas.
Yeah, we'll probably pick a day where there's the right gap in the tournament schedule and at least do a breakfast or something. But I'd love to do another meetup game. That was so much fun last year down at the MGM Grand. How cool was that? So maybe I'd love to do something like that. We'll see if we can get you out, Kevin. I'd love that.
Sounds good. I will certainly do my best. And like I said, it's always nice meeting people that I talk to on Rec Poker or on Twitter in person. It's always a fun experience. So sometimes I'm not the most sometimes you'll be a little frazzled because of what's going on at WSOP. I do try to be as nice a person as I usually am on Twitter.
Yeah, and
Info.
if you come up and you meet me in Vegas for the first time, and you also meet Kevin for the first time, you'll have two opportunities to say, "Whoa, you're taller than I expected," because Kevin makes me look small, and apparently I'm taller than people expect. So there you go. Just look for the giant, friendly guy with the huge mitts
And a suit
out
jacket.
there. Yeah, that's right.
Suit jacket and shorts, right? That's your usual look. So
That's me.
it's
You got-
distinctive.
it's like the poker player's mullet. I feel like it's like, business up top, party down below, the
Understood,
shorts and the
understood.
suit coat. I think I might have to do something with that. Now we might have a trademark. All right, Kevin, we've wasted enough of your time. Thank you so much for John with us. I'll see you in like 6 weeks, my man. I can't wait. Get down there safe and keep up the good fight. You rock.
Sounds good. And thank you very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk with you guys. Thank God.
Take care, my man. All right, well, that was Kevin Mathers, the one and only. John Somsky, why don't you take us through some recent home game results, and then we'll wrap up today's show.
Well, we had our No Limit Hold'em Championship Series. That's the one where we have the Player of the Year's points race. And one Jack Flack won that on May 1st for his or her very first victory in the No Limit
right.
Hold'em Series. Actually, first victory for Rec Poker.
Then
on August 29th, a really mad guy got his fourth nightly victory. Bluff Storini, Jim Reed, someone I didn't even realize they were playing anymore. It's been so long since they've won anything. Won the daily event.
This one, yeah, there it is. I already got the new pin. I walked into Rec Poker headquarters, went past all the different iris scan and the DNA sample door, all the different locks and vault doors and stuff, and I managed to get my pin already. I was like, oh, no way. I'm not letting a day go by without this new Rec Poker pin up on the hat. Oh, baby.
Yeah, actually, you're gonna need another hat pretty soon. You should talk to Taylor about getting his head enlarging system so that you can wear a bigger hat and have more room for your pins.
That's a great idea. Although I'd have to talk to Taylor. So pros and cons.
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
then we have for international events, East Coast Spitter Ben Enslow got his
Woo!
third international victory for the year. Jasper
roll.
Jr. Pat Barry got his first international victory for the year. And Boise 81 Carrie Lamp got his or her first LPP event. So he or she can contact info at rec.poker for their free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Right on. Congratulations, Terry. You're going to love all the great stuff they have going. Carrie. Okay. Thank you, Carrie. And in fact, if you like Learn Pro Poker and you're watching this live as a premium member, in about 25 minutes, we're going to be recording the forums edition of the podcast, which we do on Monday nights after the YouTube chats edition. And we're going to be joined by Ryan LaPlante himself to talk some strategy and drop some knowledge on us about some cool things he's been working on at Learn Pro Poker. So if you're, like I say, if you're watching live and you're a premium member, come join the fun and have a great time with Ryan LaPlante and the rest of the Wrecking Crew. Carrie, send that email to info@rec.poker because you've won a free month of Learn Pro Poker and you're going to love what they have going on over there. What else should we be talking about? Rob Washam, what's on your mind?
Well, we do have the ROI results for April. And number one on the list is a Wrecking Crew member, Binkley. Binkley.
All right. Eric Jim taking it home.
And number two on the list is also a Wrecking Crew member. And he goes by the name of Gopher Boy TJM.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who it is. He seems to be a Wrecking Crew member, but we'll just say that Gopher Boy TJM is in second. The next five are all premium members.
All right. These are the ones that we're doing it for.
Right. We have Larson's Opening.
George, congratulations.
Then we have Now Then KB.
Yeah, man, Doug.
Graphics 16.
Roger, beautiful.
And then we have GF Hawk
All right, Eric Romo.
and Bone Crusher 14.
Marcel. All right, those some big names in the
Oh, they're
premium
really
membership
kicking some,
here.
they're really kicking some butt. And I just want to
Nice.
mention that John and I were tied this year or this month with absolutely 0 wins. So way to go, John. You and I are right there at the bottom of the list.
Well, there's no soft seats. Yeah,
I'm
Chris,
there
go.
with you. I'm there with you.
Well, you didn't even play 4 events, so you don't even count.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I still have 0. So
So this, and folks, if you're watching, if you're wondering what's going on, this is every month Rob compiles the top 5 ROI performances in our home game club by our premium members, and the premium member each month with the highest ROI wins a
Larson's
prize.
opening this month.
Larson's opening. So George, send an email to info@rec.poker. We'll take a look at who some of the guests are that are coming up on the show. And you've won a seat here with the Wrecking Crew in the Zoom room for the interview portion of one of the podcast guests that we've got coming up. So send that email. Just one of the great prizes that are part of playing in the free Play Money home game club that we do here. What else? I want to shout out.
I just noticed that when John was stepped away from his desk, he put out a picture there, and that picture is the exact same picture that's on the foyer wall for Player of the Month or the Employee of the Month, I believe, in the Rec Poker Lavish Studios, but right there in the foyer. So that picture looks so familiar. I think it's the same one that we use for John when he was the Employee of the Month back in January, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought that looked familiar. That makes a lot of sense.
That's what it looked like to me. I'm not
Yeah.
sure though.
Employee of the Month, boy, that John Zomsky photo's been up there a lot, I would guess, over the years. All right, Chris. Chris, is it time to roll a die and give
I'm not going to
away?
do Dice Cam tonight, so you're going to have to trust me. But we've got Stewie 1, JD Malay 2, Luke O 3, K Poker Wannabe 4.
I see 4.
All right, away we go. It's a 3.
It's a 3. That's
Luke.
Luke.
Oh, right. Yeah, Luke O.
All right. My man, if it's the Luke O that I think it is, calling in from all the way around the world, send an email to info@rec.poker, buddy. You have won a fantastic prize. So if you're listening at home and you don't know what this is all about, every week we give away a prize on the show. If you're not a Rec Poker Premium member, then you win a free month at Rec Poker Premium. It's only $15 a month, but there's some fantastic value there. If you are already a Rec Poker Premium member, then you win a month of free membership at one of our fantastic training partners. Learn Pro Poker, Solve for Why, pokercoaching.com, Red Chip, Jacka Coaching. Oh God, I have to print off a list for these because I know I'm forgetting one, but there are some fantastic partners that we have here that share their premium material with our members, and they want to give you a free month just for participating in our food bank raffle as well. So Luke, send that email info@rec.poker, and we'll get you all set up with your fantastic prize. Speaking of fantastic people in the poker world, I just want to shout out the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. You can find out more about them at runaces.com. I'm sure they have some fantastic tournaments coming up in the next little while, but the weekend that I'm excited about is the first weekend in August 2nd and 3rd, where it's going to be Rec Poker Weekend at Running Aces again. We're going to be doing a bunch of different featured tournaments. We're going to be overlaying a bunch of prizes. We're going to be maybe doing some fun social activities. We'll do a cash game, meetup game. We'll raise some money for the Second Harvest Food Bank there in Minnesota. And it's going to be a great time. So circle that. And like I say, go ahead and book a room at runaces.com. All right, gang. Anything else we should hammer in before we pat this baby on the butt and send it on its way? It doesn't look like it. All right. Well, then, without any further ado, Thank you to Rob Washam, John Somsky, Keith Brandt, and Chris Jones. Kevin Mathers stuck around all night. What a guy. We love that guy. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you to the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. Everyone in the YouTube chat for making this so much fun. And you, the audience at home. Have a good week.